Christian School Confidential, being a watchdog for survivors and victims of the fundamentalist Christian school experience. A plane flies over Bob Jones University carrying a message from DORIGHTBJU.org saying, "It's time for transparency." Hi, this is Dwayne Walker, the author of Christian School Confidential and California Director for heal-online.org, a network of activists and concerned citizens who have either been survivors of the teen boot camp industry, or we know people who were survivors of the teen containment industry, and we're doing everything we can to help close these abusive places down. If you were at Greenville, South Carolina, and saw the airplane going by, you would have saw the URL of the site, DORIGHTBJU.org, and if you clicked on it, you would have come to their series of action steps that they suggest that Bob Jones University should do if it wants to be a respected academic institution. If you have followed the story of DORIGHTBJU and Chris Peterman, reading the attacks that have been lodged against him. Some of the more vicious ones, of course, come from the student body of Bob Jones University, basically seeming appalled that anyone would want to help victims of sex abuse, I guess. See, that's what I don't get. Some of the criticisms leveled at Chris Peterman was that he should only go for Chuck Phelps, and then after Chuck Phelps resigned from the board, then that was it. That should have been the end of it. DORIGHTBJU should have folded up its doors and that would have been it. But if that would have happened, you would still have had Bob Jones University counselors telling rape victims that if they felt any pleasure during their rape, which none of them are, and if anything like that is felt, it's just a normal physiological reaction. No one is going to be feeling pleasure during an actual rape. And the very idea that they would even ask a rape victim to pray for their forgiveness just tells you that these people really, they're good for nothing. I'm sorry, they're good for nothing. If that's the advice that they're going to be giving victims of trauma, yes, they should have their license removed, but they're unlicensed. So what can you do about it except hide behind the veil of church-state separation and use that to protect yourself from accusations of abuse? Here we have a number of protesters in front of a church in Limo, Ohio, protesting this church's endorsement of Hephzibah House. They donate money to Hephzibah House and who knows what else, and the founder of Hephzibah House, Ron Williams, was speaking there. Now, I've always been a critic of protests, especially when it's just two or three, and they're just out there hoping against hope that the news is going to pick them up. What makes this protest slightly different is because within the last year, a number of survivors of both IFB fundamentalist abuse, as well as those who've been in IFB homes like the Lester Roloff homes, have been getting together on various message boards, and they've been trying to break out of Facebook, which is necessary right now. In the beginning, Facebook was great because it brought together people who might have got kicked out of this group or kicked out of that message board, like me. What really instigated my activism was when I got kicked out of a message board, the Fighting Fundamentalist Forum, because I, in a case of just trying to throw them a bone, you might say, I went ahead and checked my religious affiliation. I turned it from atheist to Unitarian, and then I got an email back saying, "Why are you trying to pass yourself off as a Christian?" And what's funny is the person who sent me this email doesn't regard Unitarians as Christian, but they use that one moment just to go at me and get me out of there. Lately, the survivors have got together and they had a convention at Long Beach at the Queen Mary, the Survivors of Institutional Abuse Convention, where a memorial service was held for those who had either got killed in various homes like the ones I'm speaking of, or those homes and their ACE education didn't prepare them for life, as it were, and they went out and killed themselves. There was a piece of legislation called HR 911 that would have regulated these homes. And that piece of legislation passed in the House and it died in the Senate. But the reason given for why it died in the Senate, and I'm just as appalled by this as you are or anyone else would be, no publicity. In other words, our appointed leaders aren't going to do anything on the basis of how many people are being hurt. They aren't going to pass legislation on the basis of is it right or is it wrong? Do our people need it? Is it going to help us? Is it damaging our economy? Is it bringing our populace down and making them unemployable? No. The reason it didn't pass, no publicity. I would like to suggest that many people, whether you're at Fairhaven, My Place Trinity, wherever you might be, to start having your own protests. Start having your own protests, your own memorial services in public. Send out your press releases, but don't rely on them. Videotape it. And then send it to heal-online.org. And and this is really specifically if you're dealing with the institutional abuse that takes place in a lot of IFB homes like Hephzibah House or New Bethany, or for that matter, even those that aren't necessarily fundamentalist, like Green Chimneys or some of the homes that are up in Utah. But film your testimonies, tape them, tape your protests. Don't let anyone tell you to be quiet, and just put them onto YouTube. And if you have any questions, contact me at california@heal-online.org. This web series is brought to you by Christian School Confidential, a manifesto disguised as a harmless novel. Now available from Amazon.com and Christianschoolconfidential.com.